Hey everyone, and welcome to Isms by Josie. Today we're going to be completing part 4 of this video series, doing the mayor from Tim Burton's The Nightmare Before Christmas crochet kit. For my returning subscribers, thank you so much for tuning in, and for my new viewers, please consider subscribing, share, hit that like button, leave a comment below, and click on that notification bell for future videos. So today, you guys, we are doing like the billionth part video of this. I forgot to realize how long these Nightmare Before Christmas kits go. If you were not with me last year, I did most of the characters. This year, I am doing just the mayor. I was going to do Jack Skellington, Santa, and Santa Claus, but I just don't have time for that. This is already post-Christmas, and this is how far I've gotten. This is a really huge project. So anyway, let's continue this. We left off at the belt, I guess, or the end of his jacket. And the next steps are rounds 28 through 37, and we're going to be decreasing a bunch to create the pants. Now, this video is only a supplement to the kit if you'd like to make these characters from this kit that I think is well worth trying out. It's just seriously a nightmare. Go ahead and get the kit. I will leave a link in the description box below. I got this one on Amazon. I got it because my sister loves The Nightmare Before Christmas, and I've been slowly making her the characters. I don't know how I did all those characters last year, but then again, I think I started in November. This year I started like the week of Christmas, which was probably not the brightest idea. But anyway, so if you need to speed up or slow down the video, go ahead and click on the gear button in the corner. There's playback options to go fast or slow. If you don't need to hear me talk, it is late and my voice is getting a little crackly. You can lower the volume on your device and click on the CC closed caption button. Alright, so we're just going to jump right through this. I don't really go into detail with the instructions due to copyright. What I do is explain new stitches at least 3 times step by step so that you can learn the stitch, and then I also explain how to read the instructions in case you don't know how. And then of course, if there's any weirdness, typos, errors, things like that that come up, I will bring it up, and I've definitely brought up some stuff in this series, I think. And then of course we do assembly together. So let's get into this. I have my needle, my hook right here. I've been doing knitting, so I completely go back and forth between knitting and crocheting, needles and hooks. Anyway, so stick your hook back in here. I don't remember why I took it out in the first place. But I'm just going to tighten this up, and we're going to start with round 28. So if you have not seen the prior videos, I would imagine you should, considering you have to get through all those videos to get to this point here. But we're going to be doing a single crochet stitch, an invisible decreasing stitch. We're going to be learning those 2 stitches, but at the same time we're going to be learning how to read this long instructions. So if you haven't seen the first videos, you're going to be like, whoa, we're jumping into something really big right now. So the way you read round 28 is you have a set of parentheses, and then you have a number, and it says times because that's the number of times you're going to repeat that parenthesis. And then at the very end of the instruction, in fact at the end of every row, you have another set of parentheses with a number inside, and that's basically telling you how many stitches you should have at the very end of the instructions. So if you are a beginner or it's just safe practice, whatever level you're at, I know I don't do it every time, and that's on me, but definitely do your stitch count at the end of every row to make sure that you're on track, because it's better to catch your mistake sooner rather than later. So there are ways to finagle of increasing or decreasing stitches if you're missing a few, but sometimes the mistake is too big that you really should keep track of it right from the get-go. All right, so I like to underhand my hook like this. This relieves a lot of tension in the hands, which ultimately leads to less tight stitches. We don't want loose, but we don't want tight either, because you're going to have a hard time putting your hook into the stitches, and you're going to have a hard time decreasing stitches, believe it or not. Increasing stitches, yes, but I feel sometimes that the stitches have some give to it, but you might have it, well, again, trying to fit the hook into a small space. So underhand is pretty much good to go for that. All right, so let's focus on the first set of parentheses. We've got a set of single crochet stitches and invisible decreasing stitches. So let me show you how to do the single crochet stitch at least 3 times. So stick your hook into, oops, try not to lose your stitch here. We're going to stick our hook into the next stitch. So we're going to be sticking this into the front and back loops. All right, when we're looking at our project this way, this row here is the back loops. This row in front of it is obviously the front loops. So we're putting it under both front and back loops. All right, so we're going to yarn over, and you're going to pull up a loop, so you have 2 loops. Then we're going to yarn over, and you're going to pull through those 2 loops. So we have our first single crochet stitch. We have our front and back loop. You look at the top and it looks like a nice braid. All right, let's do another one. Stick your hook into the next stitch, front and back loops. Make sure you're not piercing the yarn, that you're making a nice clear poke so that it doesn't get tangled or anything, because if you have to unravel it, you're going to have an issue if you split the yarn. But we're going to yarn over, you're going to pull through the loop, and you have 2 loops. Yarn over again, and you're going to pull through those 2 loops. So now you have 2 single crochet stitches, front and back loops. You look at the top and you have your braid right there. Let's do this one more time, you guys. Stick your hook into the next stitch, front and back loops, yarn over, pull up a loop, so you have 2 loops, yarn over again, and we're going to pull through those 2 loops. Right, so now we have 3 single crochet stitches. You can rewind this part as many times as you need until you're comfortable doing single crochet stitches on your own. But I'm going to go and finish the rest of the single crochet stitches, because I want to show you how to do an invisible decreasing stitch. Alright, so let me show you how to do an invisible decreasing stitch. So what we're going to do is, it's pretty much taking these 2 stitches here, and we're going to turn it into 1 single crochet stitch. So into the next stitch, put in your hook. We're going to come up from underneath like we normally would for the front and back loops, but we're only going to stick it up through the front loop. So you have to split this braid in half. So come up from underneath like we normally would, but try to just get that front loop only. Make sure you're not splitting the yarn either. I have such small yarn and my eyes are just not that great. Okay, so we split it in the front loop only. That back loop is just chilling in the back. So once you get it through this 1 loop only, we're going to yarn over, and you're going to pull up a loop so that you have 2 loops. Then we're going to go into the next stitch over and do the same thing. Come up from underneath like we would, but you're going to put your hook through the front loop only. The back loop is just going to chill back here by itself. And then we're going to yarn over, and you're going to pull up another loop so that we have 3 loops. So now we're going to yarn over again, and you're going to pull through all 3 loops, and that's an invisible decreasing stitch. All right, so now what we're going to do is repeat this parenthesis, and when we get to the invisible decreasing stitch, I'm going to show you how to do that again. Oops. All right, so let me show you for the second time how to do an invisible decreasing stitch. Again, we're taking 2 single crochet stitches and we're turning it into 1 single crochet stitch. So come up from underneath. You want to split that yarn in half, or the braid in half, sorry, not the yarn, the braid in half, front loop only, leave the back loop back there, yarn over and pull up a loop so that we have 2 loops. Then into the next stitch, come up from underneath, go through the front loop only, leave the back loop there. We're going to yarn over and pull up a loop so we have 3 loops. Then you're going to yarn over one more time and then pull through all 3 loops. So I don't know if you can see what's going on here, but we have 2 stitches and we made 1 single crochet stitch out of that. So I'm going to repeat this parenthesis again for you guys one more time, and then we're going to I'm going to show you how to do the invisible decreasing stitch one last time. All right, so again, taking 2 single crochet stitches and turning it into single crochet stitch, come up from underneath, put your hook in the front loop only by splitting that braid. Okay, leave that back loop alone. Yarn over, pull up a loop so you have 2 loops. Then into the next stitch, come from underneath and split that braid, go through the front loop only. Yarn over and pull up a loop so you have 3 loops. Then we're going to yarn over and you're going to pull through all 3 loops. So we've done an invisible decreasing stitch for the 3rd time. So you can rewind this part now as many times as you need until you're comfortable doing both the single crochet stitch and the invisible decreasing stitch on your own. But what I'm going to do now is just repeat the parenthesis the remaining number of times that the instruction tells you to do. Then again, if you are a beginner starting with your stitch marker, you want to count the number of stitches you have for this round and make sure that it matches up with the same number of stitches on round 28. And the ideology of the remaining rounds is pretty much the same. So for round 29 through 36, it's the same set of parentheses, different counts, but same number of parentheses, repeat it the same number of times, and then just make sure you have the same number of stitches. And then I'm going to come back in for round 37 because that's going to be the last round for this. And I'm going to teach you how to fasten off and leaving a tail for sewing. We do have to fill this in with stuffing. I saved it for the last just because it's easier for me to work with. So my advice is however big your hand is or your fingers are to fit into a space like this is very comfortable right now. For myself, I usually wait around the round that has 18 to 12 stitches. Anything smaller than that, we're going to have a hard time filling with stuffing. So I recommend for myself, I don't know, like, do I have a coin here? No, I don't, but I do have one of those nail scissors. So this is the size of my hand. So for me, I like to wait around 18 to 12 stitches. That helps me fit my fingers in there comfortably to stuff. All right, so I will do this in silence. Alright, so I stuffed as much as I could. Like, he is kind of bulbous, but I don't want it to be to where the bottom is really sticking out because he has pudgy feet. I was worried that my yarn here in the gray is very thin, so I was worried that it wouldn't be able to stand on its own, but looking at how much this is filled, I'm not worried about that anymore. Here, if your wire is not bending in the direction that you would like, you can go in and bend it. But it's been bending because it's hitting my desk and I'm squeezing it, so I'll fix it at the very end. Anyway, we are at round 37. As you saw me earlier, I had filled the yarn very earlier on because I felt like it was getting smaller. Again, normally 18 to 12 inches is fine, but I don't know. Maybe because this is smaller yarn. So I ended up filling it in round 34. But anyway, let's complete this last round. This is where it's going to get a little crazy because the inner more you go, especially when it's stuffed, there's a tendency to pull this initial loop too wide to make it to the next stitch, that it's going to leave a large gap. So to prevent that, you want to try to keep your initial loop here as tight as possible. Not tight as possible, let's rephrase that, as small as possible without being tight, so that it doesn't become impossible to create a stitch. But another thing we can do is try to flatten out your project as best you can so that it's not stretching and pulling like it is around the these turns. So we're going to be doing invisible decreasing stitches. I hate doing the invisible decreasing stitches. I like to do normal ones because you get to grab both loops as opposed to the front loop, but that's what they want you to do. So we're gonna do the same thing we've done, front loop only on these invisible decreasing stitches all the way around. And again, try to keep this initial loop as small as possible to prevent any large gaps in our stitches. And we just have to keep doing this all the way around. Obviously, try to avoid stitching into the stuffing, because if you pull it out of the project, it's so easy to see and it's going to get messy looking and it's hard to tuck it back in. Okay. So it's a lot of things you got to do all at once. But once you get the practice in, this will become kind of second nature to you. See, and my yarn is just so flimsy. It's the only gray I had that looks good enough. I do have actually another gray, but that yarn is way too big. And I didn't want to use that. Oops, see, it's pulling. It's the same gauge as the white, and see how extra big, extra large it made everything. So I really wanted to avoid using that one. So I opted for this very skinny one, which is proving to be a little difficult right about now. And there's no way around it. It's really stretching now because the stitches are naturally pulling as I am doing all these decreasing stitches. But we are almost to the other side. Okay, remove this marker. We won't be needing it anymore. So yeah, imagine if you did all that and then you have to stuff it. Yeah, that's not happening. So now I have to fasten this off. We need a tail for sewing. Now, normally I go around the hole twice, but I'm not sure exactly what we're sewing. So this is the length that I would need. Let me just double that, actually. You know, and you don't really have to measure anything, really. Just make sure you have enough. Since this is, you know, I'm assuming you're using your own yarn because they only give you enough material to make Jack and Sally. So you don't have to worry about running out of yarn unless you didn't buy enough in the first place. But yeah, so I'm just going to cut that. I'm going to show you how to fasten it off. I'm going to yarn over and you're going to pull through the loop all the way out. And then to tighten it up, you're just going to pull in the opposite direction and tighten that knot. Alright. So now I'm going to grab my needle. Not sure where that's at. Alright, I can't remember what kind of needle they give you. I have this one here. It's metal. I prefer the plastic ones because they're safer. This one is super large, so I have no idea where this came from. But what we're going to do is we're picking up front loops only. So for the number of stitches we have for round 37, same thing with the hook. Just come up under from the front loop only. Leave the back loop by itself. And we're just going to weave in and out of these front loops only. And we're going to pull everything together closed. So for now, you don't have to worry about pulling, just worry about getting your needle under and through the front loop only until you get back around. Right, and then once you're there, we're just going to pull this closed. And then you just have to find your moment to tie a knot. I'm not a sewer, so I don't know what the best way to tie a knot. But what I do is just stick the needle through a knot here, a stitch, and then I go through, I leave a loop, and I go through the loop twice with the needle, and then I start pulling and letting go of that loop, and it causes like this French knot, kind of. If you're in the sewing world, it's called the French knot, not loop. Alright, and then you have this. I'm not sure exactly yet what we're doing with this, so we can remove the needle just so that you're not worried about losing it or sticking yourself. Even though it's plastic, you still can get hurt. And then we're just going to do the next parts. I'm just gonna like zhuzh this up a bit, but we have the body coming along. Let's see what the next steps are. A little excited about this. Alright, so it has you doing the face, and we already did that. Kudos. Alright, so now we have to do a shirt, and it's asking you to make 2 of these. So with the white, aka the thick gauge yarn that I've been trying to avoid to use, we're going to be using that. So let me just grab my white. And this I got from the Dollar Tree just to have white. I think in the future, if I have time or remember, I'm going to get another spool of white. This is Red Heart. I normally get Red Heart actually, and this is a very cute, smaller version of what I normally would get. But I'm going to find a gauge that's smaller because this makes all these kit projects so much bigger. Alright, let me see actually how much time we have because we need to do the shirt, the collar, and the spider. We also have the arm, the rosette, and then the legs. Okay, so let me just check all this stuff we gotta do. So for the shirt, I'm gonna do the second one off camera. We're gonna do a row. We're not doing the amigurumi, so I'm going to show you how to cast on with the slip knot. So take your ring, pinky, and thumb, hold one end, then take your index and middle and hold the other. We're going to take our hook, lie it perpendicular to the yarn, and we're going to go down, out, and around to create this loop around our hook. You can easily slide your hook up and down. We're going to slide it down towards our thumb. Take your middle finger and just hold it where it crosses so we can let go of our left hand, because we need to gather up some yarn here. Then you're going to re-pinch the end as low as you can go without losing the end. I'm going to lower my hook closer to my thumb, and then I'm going to pinch it with my middle finger where it crosses so I can no longer slide the hook up and down. Then we're going to yarn over, and I'm going to pull through the loop. Then I'm going to overhand my hook, re-pinch the end, and I'm going to push this knot towards my thumb. All right. Then once I get to a point where I can't push this knot anymore, I'm going to take my thumb and middle finger and just pull the excess out just to make the knot a little more snug, and then we're going to push this up, and then we can start our first row. I'm going to get some yarn first. Okay. So as backwards as I put that on, as backwards as we're gonna do, I have to teach you the most basic stitch in crochet, which is the chain stitch. But since this is a part 3, part 4, whatever part video this is, it makes sense that we're learning this backwards. Okay, so how to do a chain stitch is very simple. Hold the knot down so you have your project stabilized. You want to yarn over, and we're going to pull through the loop. And that's basically it. That's a chain stitch. We have 3 loops that make a chain stitch. A loop right here, a loop right here, turn it on its side or the back, and we have a loop right here, which is the back hump, or back loop, as I call it, back hump. Anyway, so let's do another one. Yarn over and pull through that loop. Again, chain stitch. Loop on each side, turn it to its side. You can see the loop in the back hump. One more time, you guys. So we're going to yarn over, and you're going to pull through the loop. Again, a loop on each side here, turn it on its side, and you can see the back hump right there. Alright, so now I'm just going to continue the rest of the chains, and then we're going to move on to the next steps. Alright, you always want to make sure you have the right counts, so count back from the hook. Alright, so since it seems like we're going to be doing single crochet stitches, one trick to know that's pretty universal for any crochet instruction is if you're doing chains and then the next step we're doing is single crochet stitches, we're always going to skip the first chain and put our hook into the second. That's going to build the height of the row. So if you can imagine, I'm going to stick my hook into this back hump here of the second chain, and it's going to pull that first one just like this. So you can see how it's building the height. And that's why we skip a chain when we do single crochet stitches after we do chain stitches. So skip a chain. Into the next chain, we're going to stick the hook in the back hump. And the reason why I stick my hook into the back hump is because on top view, here's the back hump. We flip it upside down, and it's right under that braid. So that's the reason why I do it, because I don't know exactly what's going to be exposed, but just in good practice, I'm going to use the back hump because I get to keep this really pretty braid underneath. Okay, so let's do our single crochet stitch like we normally would. Yarn over, pull up a loop, so we have 2 loops, yarn over, and pull through those 2 loops. I kind of see that I split the yarn here, so before I do this, just pull up that loop. I just need to go back and pick up that piece of yarn that I split. Alright, but I'm going to now yarn over and pull through both loops to finish my single crochet stitch. So you can see this box forming. that chain that we skipped is making the vertical jump, and then our single crochet stitch is making the horizontal move that way. Our chain that we did before is going this way. So again, let me show you the underside. That braid is not touched. It's nice and pretty still, so that's why I use the back hump. All right, so let me show you again how to do single crochet stitches in a chain stitch at least 2 more times. So I'm turning my chains on its side, and you can see the back humps clear as day here. I'm going to stick my hook into those back humps. All right, try not to split your yarn. And then I'm going to continue doing my single crochet stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop. So you have 2 loops, yarn over, and pull through those 2 loops. So now I have 2 single crochet stitches. One more time with you guys. Stick your hook into the back hump of the next stitch. We're going to yarn over and pull up a loop. So we have 2 loops, yarn over, and pull through those 2 loops. So you have 3 single crochet stitches. I'm going to flip it upside down, and here you have 3 single crochet stitches here. I mean, at least 3 of the braids of the chains, sorry, untouched. So all the way around, it looks like one continuous beautiful braid. I'm just going to go now and finish the rest of the single crochet stitches, and then the next steps are for rows 2 through 4. So feel free to rewind this video as many times as you need to complete doing single crochet stitches off the back hump of your chain stitches. I'm just going to move this along now. We have about an hour left to go on our video. So hopefully I can fit as many of these pieces as I can, but it's looking like we're going to have to do a part 4, I think. I don't even know what part we're on. To assemble everything at least. Maybe do a few more pieces. We'll see. But yeah, these things take up so much time to do. Everybody just thinks these things just happen 1, 2, 3. And as a beginner, I'll tell you, it's not even going to be close to 2 hours. Because beginners, when I was beginner, I took way too much time trying to get it right. You know, and I think right now we're all in that same boat. Okay. So I finished my single crochet stitches. I'm going to do rounds 2 through 4. Just so that I don't lose track of my rows, I'm going to pull out my markers. Definitely invest in these. I can't remember if this kit gave you stitch markers, but I always say invest in these anyway because you're going to need it for any kit that you do. They help you keep track of stitch count and row count. So this will be 2, 3, 4. I like to pick the ones that are open more so I don't have to spend the time trying to pry them open and then slip them in. So let's do this, 2, 3, 4. So for the next round, or next row, I am going to slip this under the chain that we made, just like how we did with the body part that we just completed. All right, so we have to, oh, that's funny that it doesn't, okay. So when we finished row 1, it wants you to turn. So turn your project. So you had this looking like this. We finished all the chains. There's nothing left on the left. So we just have to turn it. And that's how you get all these stitches back on the left side. If you're a righty, you have to have stitches on the left side to do a row. If you're a lefty, you need stitches on the right side to do a row. Okay. So for rows 2 through 4, you're going to chain 1. And like I said, chain 1 always builds the height for the row. If you build more than 1, that's a different story because it's going to tell you to do a different stitch entirely. But more than likely, if you chain 1, you're going to be doing a bunch of single crochet stitches. All right, so for the next comma section we have here, we're surprisingly doing invisible decreasing stitch. That's interesting. All right, I wish they had a stitch count too. Okay. Now, normally when we do our first stitch, it's right where the stitch marker is. Invisible decreasing stitches, like I said, is the front loop only. So where the stitch marker is, do that front loop only. Okay, yarn over and pull up a loop. Oh, and I split it. Let me do this over. Make sure you don't split your yarn. All right, into the next stitch, front loop only. Put your hook in there, yarn over, pull up a loop. So now we have 3 loops. I'm just going to go ahead and yarn over and pull this through all 3 loops. So we have our invisible decreasing stitch. The next comma section, it says that we have to do single crochet stitches. It also says until we have remaining stitches from the end. Because we're going to invisible decreasing stitch that. So let's do our single crochet stitches. And then again for the last stitch, we're doing an invisible decreasing stitch. So we'll do that. All right. So now I'm just going to mark this row here, just so that I can keep track of my rows. And we're going to turn. And then, of course, we're going to repeat this instruction. So we're going to chain 1. And then we have our invisible decreasing stitch to do. So do that right where your stitch marker is. All right, make sure not to split the yarn. Okay. Then we have to do our single crochet stitches up till we have to do our invisible decreasing stitch at the very end. All right. Then I'm going to put this last marker here. So this is telling me we have round 4 to do. We're going to turn it. And then of course I have to do my chain stitch so that I can go into my invisible decreasing stitch. And then single crochet stitches. And then finish off with an invisible decreasing stitch. Try not to split your yarn. Right, so that one was a little difficult considering all this stuff we're doing. So let me know how it went for you. But now we're finished with that. We've got to do row 5. You can remove the stitch markers now because we're no longer needing to track our rows. But what I am going to do is we have to turn this. And then we're going to chain 1. We're going to do our invisible decreasing stitch. And then we have our single crochet stitch. And then we have to turn it. And then we are going to do row 6, chaining 1. And then invisible decreasing stitch. All right. So now we have to fasten this off and leave a tail for sewing. Okay, so what you want to do is I'm going to generously go around the perimeter twice, and I'm assuming that's going to be enough for me to sew the shirt to the body. But what you're going to do is fasten off. I showed you once before. Let me show you again. Yarn over. Oh, I split the yarn here. Let me just fix this first. Yarn over. Pull through the loop all the way out. Then tighten it up. All right, and then we're going to sew this to the body. I'm just going to do this one because off camera I'm going to do the second one and sew that on, and then we can move on to the next thing, which is the collar that we also have to make 2 of. So here we have the shirt. You want to even this off. It normally tells you what rows. It says below the face. Below the face is right here, but we already have a ring of white, so maybe I'll just put it right below the ring of white. And then of course you want to try to center it, which I normally have a problem with doing. But then we can come in here and sew into the body. So this is 2 different gauge yarns, so you're gonna see how crazy this is gonna be, but gotta make it work. All right. Once I'm all the way back around, I'm going to find my moment to tie a knot. Definitely doing the second one off camera because that took forever. But once you have that knotted, I'm going to go back in, put my needle through one side and randomly come out the other side. Doesn't matter where. But I'm going to go and cut this flush to the surface. Okay, and then it's just going to disappear into the body. If you still see anything, you can squish it so that it's gone. But here's the first side with the shirt. Gonna go in with the second shirt off camera. Gonna come back in to do the collar using the gray. Alright, so I did have the second shirt sewn on. We'll show that later. Let's work on the collar. So we're going to have to cast on with the slip knot again, and I believe this might be the third time we're doing this, so I won't have to show you again afterwards. But anyway, take your ring, pinky, and thumb and hold one end. Then we're going to take our index and middle and hold the other. Then you're going to take your crochet hook and lie it perpendicular to the yarn. We're going to go down, out, and around to create this loop around your hook. You can slide it easily up and down this yarn here. We're going to slide it down towards our thumb, take our middle finger and just hold it where it crosses so that we can let go of our left and gather up some feeder yarn. Then you're going to re-pinch the end as low as you can possibly go. Then we're going to lower our hook closer to the end and pinch it right where it crosses so that you can no longer move your hook up and down the yarn. Then we're going to yarn over and you're going to pull through the loop. I'm going to overhand my hook, re-pinch this end, and I'm going to slide this knot towards my thumb. And once we get to where we can't push it down anymore, then you can take your thumb and middle finger and just pull that end a little bit tighter. And then we're going to slide our knot closer to our hook so that we can do the first row. All right. So we are going to be holding down the knot like this to stabilize our project. I'm going to put my hand back underneath the hook and we're going to do a bunch of chain stitches. So we've shown how to do those. Just complete the chain stitches required for this row. Okay, once you've completed your chains, you definitely want to go back and just make sure that you have the right count of chains that you need for this row. Okay. Then I'm going to teach you a whole bunch of stitches. So we're going to do a slip stitch, and I don't think I've shown you how to do that. But we're going to skip our first stitch and we're going to do a slip stitch in the second stitch. Stick your hook into that back hump, and then to do a slip stitch, all you have to do is yarn over and pull through the loop, all the loops off your hook, so you just have one left. All right, so the next stitches we're going to do are single crochet stitches, so let's do that now. I've already shown you how to do those, so the single crochet stitches shouldn't be too hard to do on your own. But then after we do that, I'm just going to teach you how to do the half double crochet stitches. So what you want to do is yarn over. We're going to stick our hook into the next stitch. Then we're going to yarn over and you're going to pull up a loop so that we have 3 loops on our hook now. Then we're going to yarn over and you're going to pull through all 3 loops. Let me show you how to do that again. So yarn over, stick your hook into the next stitch, We're going to yarn over again, pull through the loops. So now you have 3 loops on your hook. We're going to yarn over and then pull through all 3 loops. One more time, you guys. Yarn over, stick your hook into the next stitch. We're going to yarn over and pull up a loop so that we have 3 loops. Yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. And that's how you do the half double crochet stitch. Now I'm going to teach you how to do a double crochet stitch. So yarn over, stick your hook into the next stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, so you have 3 loops, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over again, and pull through the final 2 loops. So that's a double crochet stitch. Let me show you this 2 more times. So yarn over, stick your hook into the next stitch. We're going to yarn over, pull up a loop, so you have 3 loops, yarn over and pull through those 2 loops, yarn over and pull through the last 2 loops. All right, one more time, you guys. So yarn over, stick your hook into the next stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, so you have 3 loops, yarn over and pull through those 2 loops, and you'll have 2 loops left, yarn over and pull through the final 2 loops. All right. So now that I've shown you how to do a double crochet stitch 3 times, you can rewind this part of the video as many times as you need until you're comfortable doing double crochet stitches all the way around. But I'm going to continue, and then we're going to go to do the half double crochet stitch, single crochet stitches, and then I'll show you how to do the slip stitch again. But yeah, so let's just get through this. All right, I'm at my last stitch here. We're going to do a slip stitch. So stick your hook into that last stitch. You see how you have this excess piece? I'm going to lay this across my hook and flatten it right next to that stitch. And then I'm going to yarn over, and I'm going to pull through all the loops off my hook, and hopefully that kind of like squashes that excess piece and then it stays hidden. It might come out, but you know, it's always nice to try to hide things. So now we need to get the length of yarn that we're going to use to sew. So again, I'm going to go around this collar 2 times generously. And we're going to cut right here. And we're going to fasten this off. So take your yarn, yarn over, pull through the loop all the way out. Then I'm going to pull on this to tighten up that loop and make it into a knot, right? So here's our collar. I did the second collar off camera, and now we're just going to sew these pieces together onto the body. So we are going to use these stitch markers so that we can kind of keep them in place. But let's take this here. You got to decide how you want to show this. I want to show this so that the nice side shows out. If you flip it over, it kind of looks a little jumbled. You flip it on this right way here. For some reason, I don't know, it just looks different to me and prettier. So I'm going to put this alongside like this. I'm going to take my marker and go through the tip of the shirt, through the first stitch right here, underneath that braid. Okay, close that off. Then what I'm going to do is turn this around. I'm going to pin the other side here first, and you'll see why in a bit. But go to the tip of the shirt, and then go to that first stitch on this side. Okay, pin it. Now for this, I'm just going to pull this up, find that middle. So that would be right here. Stretch it to where it's even on both sides. Put your marker through the middle stitch on the collar as well as around the body. So at least I know I have kind of a guide. If I wanted, I can take a couple more. So since I know I'm going stitch for stitch here, I can slip this 1, 2, count away 1, 2. So I know I gotta put it around this right here. And then on this side, there's 1, 2. Count on the collar, 1, 2. Slip the stitch marker under there, and then slip it through the stitch over here. And again, I didn't choose this. See, it takes a bit to open up that stitch marker, which is why I try to use the ones that are already open. Not every stitch marker is created equal, but see, now at least I know where I gotta end my piece here. So the more markers, the better. But let's go ahead and sew this together. Again, I'm not a sewer, but I'm gonna try my best. Okay, last one. All right, I'm going to remove this marker because I have to tie my knot. Okay. And then off camera, I'm going to sew on the second collar, and then we're going to move on to the spider, and we have to make 2 of them. Stick this in one end, come out the other randomly. Okay, and I'm going to cut this piece flush. Squish it. But then now we can remove this. We're going to use these markers for the other collar. But actually, I think we're at a point where I think we don't have any more time left for this part. So when we come back, I am going to come back and show you the other collar sewn, but we're not going to be able to do the rest. We'll come back and do the rest in another part video. We still have the spider, the arm, the rosette, and the legs, and we have to put them all together. Wow, this took a lot, but we are almost there, you guys. Thank you so much for being patient with me doing these. We've had 2 holidays to get through, and I do have a full-time job and a couple of other channels, so I've been doing a lot, and we're gonna get this done. All right, so let's come back with the other color sewn. All right, so I sewed on the other side of the collar. So this is what it's looking like right now with the hat and the face. Here's the happy side. Here's the sad side, or mad side. Yeah, so far so cute. Let me know how it's going. We're just gonna have to come back in another part video and finish the rest of this. So we should have the mayor done at the end. So guys, I am going to be coming back in with some itty bitty knit kits. We got to get back to that. I've been asked about several other kits that I've started and haven't finished due to so many things going on. So we are going to get back to Annie's. I need to finish that blanket. It would be nice to have for the spring. So we're going to be doing Annie's, we're going to be doing itty bitty knit kits. We do have Frozen that I'm going to do. I think a lot of us like the movie, so we're just going to go ahead and do the Frozen characters. Hopefully they're not this big, because I just can't. Yeah. Alright, you guys, thank you so much, you guys, for watching. This is Isms by Josie. Please share, like, and subscribe for future videos, and I'll see you again next time. Thanks. Bye.